It's a typical day for Masaw Yoshida, a 56-year-old engineer managing a nuclear power facility. As usual, he's delegating assignments, examining documents, and ensuring smooth operations. Unbeknownst to him, approximately 180 kilometers away, circumstances are unfolding that will culminate in one of Japan's most catastrophic disasters. Offshore, the ground begins to shake as a magnitude 9 undersea earthquake strikes. Although earthquakes are common in Japan, this one is unprecedented in its strength and sets off a sequence of events with global repercussions. The strongest earthquake in Japan's history triggers fears of a reactor breach and potential radioactive leaks. At the plant, all power is lost following the quake. Despite generating their own electricity, nuclear facilities rely on external sources for operation. The Fukushima plant, with its 6 reactors containing fuel rods, depends on continuous cooling even when shut down. Emergency diesel generators usually maintain cooling systems, but Reactor 1 uses an isolation condenser instead. Units 1 to 3 automatically power down after the tremor, while Units 4 to 6 are already offline for maintenance. With main power severed, backup generators activate to sustain cooling operations. Masaw Yoshida evacuates his personnel to an emergency response center, built to endure seismic activity. Though disaster drills are frequent, real emergencies inevitably lead to disorder. Now, they must remain composed, hoping the cooling mechanisms hold up to prevent a complete nuclear meltdown. Such a meltdown could produce a mass of molten radioactive material reaching temperatures up to 2000 degrees Celsius, capable of escaping containment and rendering large areas uninhabitable for decades. Pressure also builds dangerously within the reactors, risking explosion. From the command center, Yoshida communicates with operators across the site. Initially, systems appear stable with backup generators functioning and cooling maintained. But the earthquake was merely the precursor. Out at sea, waves begin forming, growing larger as they approach the coast. Fukushima Daiichi, designed for waves up to 6 meters, faces a nearly 15-meter tsunami. 2 massive waves inundate the plant, submerging roads, sweeping away vehicles, and forcing people to seek higher ground. The diesel generators flood, cutting off power and leaving control panels unresponsive. Yoshida reports to authorities as engineers attempt to restart the isolation condenser without success. Outside, the tsunami devastates the eastern coastline, displacing thousands and destroying homes. Meanwhile, workers improvise, using car batteries to restore instrument functionality. Pressure inside Reactor 1 escalates rapidly, necessitating venting, a last resort measure releasing radioactive steam. Reluctantly considering this option, Yoshida maintains communication with headquarters, where comprehension of the crisis seems lacking. Radiation levels spike ominously, and Yoshida contemplates possible leaks. Orders arrive to initiate venting, but without power, manual valve operation poses lethal risks. The Prime Minister himself visits, pressuring Yoshida to proceed. A team volunteers for the perilous task, navigating radiation-filled corridors to reach the valves. Despite their efforts, a massive explosion rocks Unit 1, injuring workers and releasing significant. Officials struggle to ascertain contamination levels as evacuation zones expand. To prevent further explosions, Yoshida decides to use seawater for cooling, countering TCO's orders to preserve reactor integrity. His defiance proves crucial in averting greater catastrophe. Gradually, reactor temperatures decrease, though subsequent hydrogen explosions occur in Units 3 and 4. Yoshida evacuates non-essential staff, leaving only a dedicated core group known as the Fukushima 50. Days later, partial power restoration aids seawater injection, yet radiation remains hazardous. Smoke and fires create an apocalyptic landscape. 6 days post-earthquake, assessments reveal widespread devastation, with contaminated zones remaining uninhabitable for decades. Cleanup efforts involve removing tainted soil, washing streets, and storing radioactive waste. Globally, anti-nuclear sentiment grows. Germany announces plans to phase out nuclear energy entirely. 14 years later, challenges persist at Fukushima. Fuel rod removal remains incomplete. And contaminated coolant leaks continue. Criticism mounts against TCO for withholding information and prioritizing corporate interests over safety. Investigations reveal that proper emergency training was lacking and safety risks were concealed for years. In 2022, executives faced hefty fines, yet trust remains broken around Fukushima. Despite lingering radiation, particularly in forested areas, the disaster could have been worse without individuals like Masaw Yoshida, who passed away from esophageal cancer unrelated to radiation